Hi, this is Jessica, the Enneagram Life Coach, and I wanted to say some things about midlife crises. So, when I work with clients as a coach, it seems to me like very often when I'm getting clients, maybe mid 30s to mid 50s, there is this total shakeup, or, it's like at some point the ground beneath our feet doesn't feel steady anymore. And I think, in our culture, we call that a midlife crisis, and that's fine. That's a fine name for it. But I think part of what's happening, and I went through that too, and I actually happened to learn Enneagram right when I was like around 35. So I'm very grateful that Enneagram showed up right as I was realizing that, I don't know, it's something like your life isn't, I don't know that it's necessarily what you thought it would be, but it's maybe for me, it was more something like all of the things that I thought I knew for sure didn't seem like they were for sure anymore. And for me, that was a lot of spiritual things, a lot of the faith that I had, but it was also just assumptions that I had made about the world or about the way people were, about the way work is, or just like all of my structures that I had used to understand the world. And of course, I'm a head type, so I'm using very heady language here. But it was just like the way I navigated had not worked enough times by the time I was 35, or the belief structures that I held had not held couldn't hold water in my real life lived experience enough times that it felt very destabilizing. And turns out a lot of people go through that. And so here's something I'm going to offer. And I'm just saying this. I have no, proof of this other than working with clients and my own experience. But I think one way to understand that is this. It's like when you're a kid, your ego or your Enneagram type or your personality, any of those words will work. It feels very certain. You believe certain things about yourself and about the world and just about everything. But if you're paying attention, and that is a big if, because you can actually, of course, breeze right through midlife and not pay attention. And some people do that. But if you start paying attention, you'll realize these things aren't working anymore. And that doesn't matter your Enneagram type, no matter what, at some point. If you're paying attention or if you're aware or self-aware, you'll start realizing, and another thing you'll realize is other people are doing things differently, and for better or for worse, right? So there's some people you're like, man, she always does this thing and it's so obvious and it doesn't work for her, but she does it over and over and over and over. Or it can be, wow, and everything always seems to go this way for her in that circumstance. Like, how is she always getting it to work that way for her? Well, I think a big part of that is personality. And if you consider that the Enneagram is one way, not the only way, but one way of understanding human personality and the behaviors that we have and the structures within which we build our view of the world, then if you start realizing there's more than one view of the same world, Enneagram teaches 9 views, then things can click a little bit better. You don't feel so lost. Also, you don't think you're so crazy once you start realizing there's a very reasonable way that when I see it, I land here, but when they see it, they land there, because we're different Enneagram types, different subtypes, different trinotypes. So maybe instead of midlife crisis, another word could be a raising of consciousness. It just, you're getting a greater viewpoint and realizing that, a 3-year-old really doesn't know the world outside of the 3-year-old's life, and nor should they. But when you start getting older, you start realizing there's a lot going on here in this place. So a raising consciousness, a spiritual rebirth, because I think Enneagram was so helpful for me to navigate those waters and bring me to a place where I could. It was like even when I would consider my faith or my spirituality, I could even see my spirituality as me as a type 7, I always saw my spirituality in this context. But people who are 9s and also have the same faith as me, like they're seeing it this way, and fours are seeing it this way, and twos are seeing it this way, and they're all okay, right? Like God made us all different. So it's no wonder that we have all of these different understandings of the divine and of our, even of our task for the divine. If we are building, for a new heaven and a new earth, it's like, oh, well, no wonder she's always doing that work, because she's like designed for that work and I'm not designed for that work. But I'm always doing this work, and this is definitely my lane. Finding out what your lane is, what your lane's not, why other people have other lanes than you, and that's okay. A great awakening, I think it could be called. There's a verse, awake, O sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. There's another verse, if you are filled with light with no dark corners, then your whole life will be radiant as the way floodlight is shining on you. This light analogy shows up all over scripture, right? I am the light of the world. If you follow me, you won't be stumbling through the darkness, because you will have the light that leads to life. A lights on moment, an aha moment. And I'm certainly not saying personality is the only one way to understand these things. But my friend, you are the light of the world. I am the light of the world. So if we're going to be the light, it would be helpful if we can illuminate the different parts of us and the different parts of the human personality and experience, and not only to have grace for other people coming from other places, but also to know what it is that will most satisfy us, what it is that our gifts are strongest in, and what areas are like, yeah, that's not my area, I'll just stay out of that. So that's one of the things you can learn in Enneagram coaching. I coach with people, they're hour-long sessions on the phone. I have limited availability right now, but if you're interested, please contact me. And if nothing else, please subscribe to this channel, because I do my best to put some information out there that will be useful to you and your life and your relationships and your maybe inevitable midlife crisis, now called raising consciousness. Thank you for watching.